Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
We're going to be talking about the AoS 3.0 Battletomes that we want to see. What do we think needs to be done? What needs to be made? That's what we're going to discuss today.
So many opinions.
All the opinions. This was a very popular one on Twitter. A lot of people were throwing out their personal opinions of what they wanted to see. I'm sure we will agree with at least some percentage of them. By some percentage, I mean more than zero, but probably not much more. So there you go. I suspect a hotly contested list later in the show. But of course, first, we start with the news. What do you got, buddy?
Rumor engine?
We do. Well, it's kind of a different thing now. They're doing one a day. So I've got actually the one up from today, which is the hooky hand.
Yep. All those destruction-y things.
Yeah, this is strange. I was not expecting a hooky hand with like bolted on. So, okay. Do you think here's the first question. Are these all the new, what do we want to call them? Adversaries, I guess, is what we've been using, right? That are coming in the launch box, because the heading for this is like, oh, it's the beast previews. So, are these all that, Tom, or are they also tricking us and throwing in other models that are going to be coming out shortly after launch?
They're totally tricking us.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Is this also Vampirates? Are we back?
Yes. Because, spoiler for the 3.0 Battletomes we want to see. It's the update to Soulblight Gravelords.
So you weren't here last week, obviously.
Obviously.
Yep. But Rob and I placed a bet, okay? And the bet is, will there be a Soulblight Gravelords 2.0 before June of next year?
I can't imagine so.
Okay, I am saying hard no.
Yeah.
He's saying yes.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. He's predicting like a Lumineth style 1 and 2. Okay.
Does he think it's Vampirates?
Look, here's the only way that I would accept a part 2 of Soulblight Gravelords. It would be if it was Vampires.
Their soul. It is in our spruiking. They're like, you know what? That's a really good idea.
Fast track that.
Fire up that book 2.0.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, like, in all honesty, let me paint a possible world. Again, this is rumors. This isn't even rumors. This is just us guessing.
Sure.
But so let's imagine a world where they can't get all of their expansions for Cursed City to market.
Yeah.
Because
the world we live in right now.
The world that we live in.
Sure.
And they need somewhere for this product to land.
Okay.
I could imagine a world where maybe they had some inspiration that they didn't possibly have. I don't know, Vampires. And they take that and go, we could fluff up, have some additional content that was already coming for Cursed City that's not going to come for Cursed City.
Sure.
And let's fast track, 4 new kits that are relevant for Vampires.
Tidings here in the comments says that's exactly what this is. Soulblighter Vanilla, Lumineth Book 1, Vanilla High Elves. I mean, I would point out that Lumineth Book 1 did have Cow Mountain in it, so I don't know how much this analogy holds, but I get where you're going. It did contain most of the baseline stuff. And then the next book is Vampirates, Lumineth Book 2, Kangaroos, right? So, look, I will happily lose that bet if SVG Mark 2.0 was Vampirates. If they were like, it's the Vampirate expansion, here it is, we're throwing it out, I'd be like, never mind, I'm good, I take everything back. This it's gold. I have no issues.
I've made a mistake. This is fantastic.
Yeah. So okay. So hooky hand thing. I think it's just gonna be a goblin guy. My honest opinion.
Yeah, probably. I
But it's
mean,
good to dream.
in all honesty, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's probably just a goblin guy with a
I
cool
mean, I
hook.
think we're hearing from the like we've been calling them like sneaky orcs, but obviously like more information is breaking out that it looks like maybe hobgoblins, whatever those are in this world, because we don't really know what hobgoblins are, big goblins. Um,
Yes, we
that
should give a special shout out here as we're discussing this to Grimdark Live, who had a
Yep.
little breaking news story. By little, I mean big breaking news story about the contents of the release box. Their source says it's called Dominion and that it's sort of goblin orcs, sort of mid-sized, that are armed by sort of trading with chaos dwarves, and they've got a leader on like a squig wolf pig monster thing, and yeah, that they're sort of kind of middle-sized, halfway between. Yes, some hobgoblin-ish stuff, and so this could fit into that.
and we're hearing that they're like a little bit mutated, like a little bit weird
Yeah,
and
yeah,
creepy,
sure.
like the orcs from like misshapen, maybe from the orcs from Lord of the Rings. And so if that is the case, which I really hope it is, they don't look like the other like orcs and goblins that we've seen. Um, then it would make sense if we get like hooky hands and like weird, like uneven eyes and the whole deal. Like I'm totally in.
Yeah.
So
All right, and so then our second image, also connected to this, to the beast, is this shield situation that looks like it's definitely photoshopped, like
maybe just a little bit.
to have the middle area knocked out and be blank.
Yep. Yep.
And so everybody has latched onto the maggot on the tongue and said like, "Oh, it's Nurgle." I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all.
It does kind of look like a demon face.
Yeah, sure, it does. It looks like a scary face, but I mean,
Yep.
it also looks kind of like a tiki mask,
It does
right?
look like a tiki mask.
This
Yep.
is like a bad guy from a Scooby Doo episode would wear right here. I mean, let's
Yes.
be honest.
Totally. Totally. And if you're like a hobgoblin trying to make yourself look big like an orc,
Yeah, sure. You want like big scary masks or a scary face or a big scary
yep,
shield. Maybe they have scary shield faces, right? Um,
totally.
yeah. So and it could be connected to like that super old rumor engine that we still don't have an ID for, to the other scary shield with a face
Mm.
very much like
Oh
this.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good call.
The oldest unsolved rumor engine, as it were, right now, right?
Mm. The deep cut there.
Mm.
Yeah, let me just say, I hope it is hobgoblins, by the way. Like, I hope it is like hobgoblins through and through, like true hobgoblins who were once slaves to chaos dwarves.
Sure.
Like, and they just lean into it, right? And they're like, nope, chaos dwarves are a real army now.
Yeah, I mean,
Because here's my call. Here's my call.
sure, I'm ready.
If they are hobgoblins and they have been equipped by like Dawizar, like by
Sure.
chaos dwarves,
Mhm.
that book is coming as a new army. As one of the
Sure.
new chaos armies. I'm calling
Sure.
it like 100%.
Yeah, I don't for a minute believe the maggot is just Nurgle. We've heard a lot of things about this new race
Right.
being a largely underground thing, and that's how they've gone unnoticed, right? That they're hiding in caves and stuff. And if that's
Swampy
the
caves.
case, then they're eating bugs and worms and stuff, because that's what you eat
And
when you
maggots.
live in caves. Yeah.
The
So
grub.
like, so this
Yep.
little face could easily just have that on there. Maybe they feed their shields. I do love these oh so not photoshopped nostrils.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
just so obviously punched out, like with a tool, just poof, poof, done.
They're fine. It's all fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's nose holes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so I suspect we're gonna see. I mean, like I completely buy the grimdark rumor. It
Yep.
makes sense to me.
Well,
It would fit an open space and destruction they don't have. It's exactly the kind of not bold move that I would expect for a new destruction army.
Vince with the hot take here.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I want Warhammer to get weird, and we're not there yet. Okay? And, like, if
You mean pseudo orcs aren't going to work for you?
No, like, just more orcs is just more orcs, man. We need to get weird, son.
What if they're, like, painted albino? Like, all of them?
It's fine.
Like, that's
Sure.
the default, like, coloring.
Look, I've solved the mystery on getting weird. okay? Because I like the weird stuff. I really
Go
do.
on.
And I want to see armies get stranger, okay?
Sure.
The problem to me seems to be when they take an existing army that has preconceived notions and then they make it weird,
Right.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem.
Then you're going to get some segment of the population that doesn't like it. I mean, you're going to get some segment of the population that loves
Yep.
it, and
Yep.
that's fine, right? Like, there's plenty of people who like Cow Mountain and who like,
Hmm.
whatever, pick your
Hmm.
thing, right?
Totally. Totally.
But where we need to get weird is in new armies where there's no preconceived notions. Like, just get nuts, get crazy, right? Again, I it sinks into my mind deeper every week. Obviously I have a weekly D&D game as well,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to tell you a big story about D&D, but but last night in my game we ended up fighting a bunch of like black puddings, and which are terrible, and some mean locks, which are just these really cool weird like four limbed with two little tiny grabby arms and two big giant claws, but they're also hairy and spiny. They're just weird looking creatures. And as we're going through all this nonsense, I'm just thinking like, wow, this world is so big with all the crazy things it contains, and Warhammer is so small, right? Like, just the number of races and things are just so small. It's so thin. And so I want to see Warhammer be more than fantasy for babies. But that's going to take bold moves on the part of this, and the place to do it is new armies, where you can go nuts.
Yeah. I mean, like, let me pitch a vision for us, right?
Yeah.
Of an army like cities,
Uh-huh.
but it not being cities. Like,
Okay.
let's say it's in destruction. And I mean, this is just gonna sound like I'm painting out gloom spite, but like you have a primary race that has maybe enslaved another race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you have a primary race and its slaves, and then they have pets, and
Yeah.
then they
Sure.
have like, and then so you can actually like get into the world,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pets
Exactly.
and mounts, and then all those are different things, like different breeds of different stuff. And
Exactly
it
right.
sounds like I'm discovering, it sounds like I'm just describing Gloomspite with like trolls and squigs and stuff like that. And kind of yes, but let's do something that's all of it is made up.
Yeah. Look how popular the crazy crab was, right?
Sure,
What we need is more
sure,
pets and stuff like that. Like if you look at Soulbound, there's a
yep,
bunch of cool, interesting pets you can take that don't show up and stuff. So I just to respond to Martin, he said
like
we
the
need like
celestial honor.
300. Yeah, he said we need 300 armies. No, 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 we don't. I'm not asking for everything to be captured.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Do world building in each army.
Yeah, exactly. You can have interesting pets, mounts,
Yep. Yep.
monsters. Okay. Also, then supplementing a mainline thing. You can do 4 or 5, 6, 8 interesting concepts, right?
Yep.
If you in one new army and introduce a huge section of the world, right? Along this line, by the way, I'd also love to see them get more into setting these into a particular realm. Everything
Hmm.
kind of just is sort of realm default. Like the giants are the giants of Gur, and it's like, okay, cool. Like if you read the Sons of Babbitt book and you read about all the other giants that are in the world, and what they feel like and look like in the other realms, I'm like, wow, those sound so much cooler than the ones you gave us.
Hmm.
Maybe you should have sculpted those,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the combination of using these interesting creatures and setting them as a home in the realms could really expand the world building and storytelling through the army. And then you can also just sort of have some armies, if you're remaking something, be more classic, if that's what it demands, right? But you can also get nuts.
Yep.
You can have Crapnos rocking out there, right? Just crab people everywhere.
Yep.
So, anyways, there we go. Time will tell what we have
True.
from these two. Okay, what else we got in the news?
It's a great question. We have the Warhammer animation preview this weekend. It's all 40K. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's okay.
We're
It's a
gonna have
thing.
a TV show that'll be. You know what? I am sure that some people are really excited for it, and I'm interested if they ever do an AOS one that's not cheesy.
Sure. It's an incredible world that you could do so much with. So There you go.
And they did on like Event Horizon and Starship
Sure.
Troopers.
Sure. Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which one
Yep.
is the better 40K movie? Starship Troopers or Event Horizon?
Oof. Honestly, I think I have to go with Event Horizon.
I got to go for Starship Troopers because
Yeah.
I
Like
just
Starship Troopers is a classic. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
just I love
Yeah.
I love the sarcasm in that movie that went over everybody's head at the time.
Oh
It's really
yeah, no,
like
no, like you're not wrong.
yeah,
You're not
sure.
wrong. It's for me. I think why is that Event Horizon is because I didn't know it was a 40K movie.
Well, I mean they're not really, but sure, they are and they aren't. They're all pulling from the same soup there, you know. So
Like, well, like the creator, the director has went on record as saying that
that he
like
was
everything
inspired
was
by
pulled.
40K.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like Insulin and the Chaos Gods and the Warp and all of that, came, was. But and so I enjoyed it in a weird sort of way the first time I saw it because I just didn't know what I was getting myself into when I watched it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then now when I look back, I appreciate that movie so much more because I realized like what they were going for.
Sure.
But I understand the tone of what you're talking about with Starship Troopers. Like I
Yeah,
own
for me,
Starship
I'm just an
Troopers.
old school Imperial Guard fan, and that like
Oh
you know
yeah,
the
yeah.
showing the
It
mobile
captures
infantry and all of that just feels so much like you would expect in the sort of
the
fascist
cheapening
future
of life
of
Yes.
40K. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
feels thematically very on point, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good call.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so yeah, we'll see what they have. I mean, I'm sure I'll watch it. You know, there you go. Seems neat.
Nice.
What else we got?
Did you know they made a second and a third Starship Troopers?
I did. Yeah, the second one I believe is bad. I think the third one's funny. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Right. Well, Rico comes back for
the third one. I didn't watch either, but yeah.
Yeah, I bought the DVDs a while ago when I was trying to get into 40K.
The trilogy. Had to get the trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to get into 40K, and I watched those, and I was like, yeah, this isn't doing it for me. So, the first one was the other two, not so much. Anyways, back on track. We have the back half of Soulblight on pre-order, including the Start Collecting Bone Zone.
The Start Collecting Bone Zone. That's what I've called it. Yes, I do appreciate you reading my notes directly.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, so this is like this is some Graveguard. So you can get some old Graveguard, some old Black Knights, which you could build as Hex Wraiths too. And you get the new mounted White Lord.
By the way, I love those Black Knights. Like that's what I use for my Hex Wraiths, and I just do a head swap and use some Dark Elf bits. Like I love those guys.
You'd be better off to use them as Hex Wraiths because those are like Black Knights are probably the most disappointing. Well, that's not true.
Well, I don't know. When was the last time you look at the pointed Hex Wraiths?
Scrolls in the book, I will say. Black Knights are. So it's very funny.
Sure.
Graveguard are fine.
Yeah.
Graveguard are fine. Of course, the part here that is of note
relevance
and relevance is that this is the only way to get the mounted White Lord, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I don't like that. I wish they would stop doing that. Like I don't. It's the same thing with the Lord on. It's the
incentive. It's the incentive, right? Like they're trying to bring people in to buy and invest in this box, and the way they do that is they offer something new.
I get it. Okay. You know, that's fine. All right. I understand. I'm going to repeat my call for transparency here. Okay.
Yep.
And that's just say this is the we're going to release him individually in a few months.
Yep.
But until then, you can get him now early in this box. Say something like that. Okay?
Yep.
Just say that. Clarify that you have a pretty reasonably rapid plan to release that one model.
Nope.
Like
Start
getting people
only.
Because all that makes me want to do is say, fine, I'll just proxy him then.
Right.
Or I'll just go find a 3D print. Like we don't live in a world where that kind of silly FOMO, sort of like tactic makes sense. Just stop it. If you want to let it be out for a little while, but you're transparent about it, I don't care. You can release your products however you want. Right?
Do we want to... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, be clear about when they're coming. That's all.
I don't disagree with that. Do we want to talk about allocation stuff? What dropped? I didn't see it in the notes.
It's not in the notes. We can certainly talk about it. Yeah, I wasn't sure how much we wanted to cover this, but yeah, that's. I'll let you kind of take the lead on
The
this.
point.
But
Okay.
before we get to the allocation, that we should mention that
Yeah.
the other big part of Grave Lords Part 2 of SBG Part 2 is they're releasing the Cursed City bad guys. Right?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they're a direct buy.
Right.
So you have to order from
Right.
them.
Right.
I'm guessing they're going to show up in the white box. You know what I'm talking
Of
about?
course they are. Yeah, the fake box.
The fake
with,
box,
with
yeah, with just like
with
a sticker.
a sticker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like they're releasing them exactly as you would expect them to, which is like the sprue of just Radikar because he's on his own sprue, so you can get him alone,
and
or you can get like all the rest of just the bad dudes.
Which,
right?
by the way, may explain
Because they're on their own
also. That may explain also why they clumped all those as a single point buy. Is they saw like they may have had a lead time of in knowing that this was going to be a train wreck 6 months ago.
They would have had to, it would have had to be even farther back than that. So like just when they staple these like the tracing the time back on this book and everybody like, oh, these other vampires were supposed to be a Soul Blight Gravelords expansion. They would have had to known it was off the rails so long ago because this book went to print in like probably June of last year, July, something like that, like way back there, maybe a month or two later. But like they would have had to know way back. Okay. Like that's when it got finished and turned gold, right? And they said they had like their locked copy at the latest September, and that would surprise me. So you know the part of it to me is I'm really of two minds on this kind of stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind them all being in this giant mega battalion that makes it like, hey, if you got the box, you can use it. So here's the way you can use them all, but none of them are particularly good. It's just kind of there as a thing. So no one actually, so people aren't incentivized to go out and like scalp this thing or find, you know, like try to get it if they couldn't get a hold of the box. Which is, I suppose, good. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, right? Mm-hmm. But my real response would have been then, okay, the right world is just release them.
Yeah.
Right? And then let people play them individually. Like, to return to our point we just made, the White King can only be bought in a box with Graveguard and Black Knights. I don't have to run him as all three.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the fact that these all come on one sprue isn't really a justification for lumping all their points together. So, like, the way I would have... The correct world should have been keep them individual. Or maybe you want to clump, like, a couple of them together because they make sense. I don't care. But, they shouldn't have all been one giant group.
Yep.
Right? And, you know, most of them... Like, if you wanted to use, like, the Vargskier individually, obviously he should be able to be used individually. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the right way to do it should have been point them individually and then release them individually, not as part of the big box. I didn't think they were going to release them separately, certainly not this fast. So that honestly surprised the heck out of me. It tells me that mold ain't broken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
True.
And then let them be separate. So that people can actually have fun with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a confusing choice given those two things, right? Like, either they were never going to be available separate, and so we keep them as one big points thing because it just represents, like, hey, did you buy the box? Here's a fun thing you can do with it. Otherwise, forget about it. You don't need to worry about this, right? Fine. Or they release them separate and you point them separate.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I don't know.
There we go.
I wish the world were different. Right?
Yes. But look, here, bright side is they did get them out and release them that fast. I hope they do the same with the heroes. Like, I hope we see the heroes in a couple weeks because they are truly great models.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I love my box. I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to hobby time, but like, they're really, really, really beautiful, fun models to paint. So, hey, and realistically, I think they're pretty worth buying just if you have a generic death army, because most of them slot in pretty easily to just be proxies and cool proxies for other figs.
Yep.
So
Yep.
who cares? Like, I don't care. I'm not going to use any of them as their actual thing, but I'll use a ton of them as you know, counts as for other things because I just think they're cooler figs.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Right on.
Cool.
What's next?
Let's do allocation.
Yeah.
So we talked with some folks in the like logistics industry stuff, not that don't work for GW, but one of the really interesting things that I think there's been a misconception in the community is about scarcity. And so a lot of folks are we're finding that we're ordering things from your local stores and all of it's like sold out, you know, like, and what they're finding is that like you're having like products are on like major back order, or it feels that way at least. And in the conversations that Vince and I had, what we found out is that it's more an issue of allocation, where like a distributor will get basically allocated if the new releases one of each thing, like one box
in the first week.
And then in week 2, you get like 5 boxes of each.
Right.
So they're basically like trickle releasing.
Right. And then in week 3, it's kind of like
free
whatever you want, basically,
right.
Or, you know, some much larger number.
Right.
So that, which is this really weird strategy that forces everybody to just double up on work in the supply chain, triple up on work in the supply chain, right?
Right.
Because people go to look for it when it comes out, like, you clearly have it. Why is it spaced out like that over time? It makes no sense to go like 1,
because
5,
it's not
15.
actually scarcity of product.
Right.
The only thing that I can think is that they're wanting to meet demand and not letting like the big dogs over order, you know, and then corner the market when, you know, everything small sells out and then the smaller guys can't get it or something. I don't know. But what it's doing is it's functionally causing an artificial scarcity in the opening week or 2.
Right. And then all of a sudden by like week 3, sure, you can get your hands on it if you want. Like, that's fine.
Right.
But the perception has been created that, oh, it's really scarce.
Right. That everything is selling out and everything's being bought right away and that they're not making enough. No, it seems like they are. It's just the way that their logistics is functioning is that they're trickle feeding. I suspect, if I were to take a guess, I have no inside knowledge here, that they probably recognize that they can't meet demand.
Okay.
Because of logistics problems.
Sure.
And so rather than like overcommit and have to deal with that, right, they're aiming to like stretch out the ordering process longer. Does that make sense? Like, because ultimately they can't meet the demand anyways. And so to keep customers engaged, or I don't know, reasons, because they don't want to overcommit product that they don't actually have. I don't know. Those are logistics questions that I don't have answers to because that's not my specialty. So, yeah, did you have anything else you want to say about allocation?
No, it is a strange situation. Stop it. Like,
GW, stop it.
Fix whatever needs to be fixed. Like, I don't know if it's an intentional choice or if it's, you know, just the oddities of logistics in the modern world. I don't know. Figure it out. That's your job. So that's my ask.
Yep.
So there you go.
So moving on to our final news item today. I was originally going to save this till the end of the show as a special announcement. And then Vince assured me that if I did that, some of our viewers wouldn't catch this.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me say something. I do want you to get through this.
Yep.
State of Kevin, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'll read what it is and we can talk about it as we go on. So that's fine. Yeah, an interesting fact. Please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm very interested. So we are... I was going to wait until later, but Vince convinced me to move it up into the middle of the show, and so I will mention it now. In my industry, there is a practice that has largely fallen out of use in other kind of professional things, and it's the concept of the sabbatical. And the idea is that, content creators and people will take a break, after a period of time in order to be more productive and recenter themselves and all that stuff. And I unprompted by Vince, I promise. I don't blame him or point fingers.
Like I'm trying to get rid of you. Is that what the joke is there?
That yeah.
Okay.
I've decided that I'm going to take a sabbatical. So, and I think the goal here will be for me to take a break, basically unto the launch of AoS 3. So GW in a sense controls when I come back or not. So we'll see. So on you, GWs. No, and I'm going to use the opportunity to be more productive in some other areas. And for example, I have a contract that I need to finish. That I've been contracted to write for a dictionary entry, and my professional stuff. And so I am going to take a break from Warhammer Weekly for a couple months. So,
yep. So Tom will not be with us for some amount of time. TBD.
It's going to be like for those that watch The Daily Show. When Jon Stewart stepped away, and John Oliver got to step in and host the show for a period of time. And so Vince is going to find my John Oliver to take over for a period of time, and then maybe that person can move on and launch their own show, or maybe they can start producing content again. Whoever ends up replacing me. So we'll see.
Sure. Yes, we have already secured our new co-host for the time period there. Yep. And yes, once we get AoS 3, Tom will be back in force, ready to go, revitalized, recentered. He's just going to be out sitting amongst crystals, doing yoga for the next 6 weeks, whatever.
Something.
Burning some incense. There'll be scented candles all around.
It's going to be amazing. I might have a painted Curse City when I get back. We'll see.
Sure.
I mean, probably not, but we'll see. So, so it'll be good. I'm excited. I'm excited for the direction of the game, and I can't wait to be a part of it. I have a lot of stuff that I need to sell. So, my hoarding has caught up with me. Sure. So if you guys do see me posting on Twitter, don't get alarmed. I'm not quitting the hobby.
No.
Tom
is just doing what he should have done, what I told him to do years ago when I was like, you gotta sell some of this crap. You are a hoarder.
When you're trashing me for my Chaos Dwarves. Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
You're gonna die under a pile of nonsense. That's what's gonna happen. Yes. Instead of old newspapers and plastic bottles, there's gonna be Warhammer boxes of like, why do you have so many boxes of I can't even think of their dumb name. Swifthawk agents. There we go. Yeah, I got there.
I mean, I do have me some Swifthawk agents. That's for sure.
Yeah, you should not.
Unfortunately, those models are worth a 91 Colt maybe. Like,
so the best car ever.
The best car ever, clearly. They're worth quite a bit of money. Like maybe an Underground Sea dual land. I don't know.
I guess
those tiles are worth quite a bit of money. So if you're looking for Swifthawk, hit me up, folks.
There you go. All right. So we'll thank you, Tom. I'm just excited as now I'm going to be even further ahead of you in the number of shows I have done compared to you.
It's true.
So there we go. That'll be good. All right. Cool. Well, let's. You will be missed, but of course you will not be gone long. Time will pass quicker than you know. Tom will be back. All right. Now let's talk about some pick of the week. Tom, what would you like to share with everybody out there?
Vince and Rob did a great show last week. I know this is really weird for me to pick Warhammer Weekly as my pick of the week, but you should go watch it. Like, if you haven't seen the show from last week, go pick it up.
I wish it was possible to do a little Uncle Adam style pachow in a live setting, but yes, I cannot. Chow. So that's fine. Yes. I'll just drop it down below.
Click right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna have to update that later. I don't know when. Like, you need to learn that technology.
I know how to do it. I do it in my hobby videos, by the way.
Well, there you go. Now, right there, Vince. Now you can go back and edit that.
The problem is I can't point to the right place because it's over in the top right, and like we're in the
Yeah.
left side of the screen. I can't reach over here. So at any rate, all right. For myself, my pick of the week is actually going to be sort of three individual things. Okay. So first thing is I just want to give a quick little shout out to a good buddy who has a birthday today, Will Myers, who's a good friend who takes good care of me every time I'm down in Nashville for NashCon. Just a great all around great human being. I just wanted to say happy birthday to him. I thought that just want to make sure. I hope he's doing well. Great musician and an all around great human being. Secondly, my pick for Warhammer content is the Rerolling Ones crew put up a new battle report of them playing in their garden of Legions of Nagash, so pre Soulblight Gravelords, against Nurgle. And the reason this one was fun is because they use an unorthodox style of where you're rolling for your sort of objectives off of the table every round and what they're trying to do. And it was actually really interesting how the game kept changing as different objectives, and some were more achievable than others. It obviously is very random, and it can make for like a game where you sort of accidentally lose, right? But at the same time, it was very fun to watch them try to stretch and move around and do all this stuff. And it was just a great game with Brent and Shu. So there you go. And my third little mention for pick of the week is to make sure you tune in to Uncle Adam's video, Uncle Adam Tabletop Minions. He's in the chat. Make sure you watch his Friday video this week. That's all I'm going to say. Just do that. Just watch his video. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Okay. So, all right. Let's talk some hobby time, my dude. Hobby time. Tom, what have you been working on, man?
So I know I just talked about getting rid of a bunch of stuff, but I drove up to our hometown this weekend. And acquired about 4 more armies.
Sure.
And amongst those, like, hold on, I gotta pull this out. This is my favorite box with all the old bats.
Very nice.
So I happen to have acquired apparently an old metal vampire count army.
There you go. Yeah, you got you got your Soulblight Gravelords army ready to go,
right.
buddy.
And so I have like a full. I realized that I was like, oh, there's like a Terrorgeist in here, and like all like a bunch of stuff. There's also an Archeon, so that happened.
Nice.
Been wanting to get a Nurgle Archeon for a while, and so and he has like 100 zombies. Now most of them are Mantic zombies, but there's like 100 zombies here.
Dude,
so,
you accidentally have a great 100 zombies. You got a great Soulblight Gravelords army on your hand. That is,
I know, right?
It's magical,
right? So so that happened this week.
Nice. You definitely need to clear out old stuff. Then you gotta. It is time to price that stuff to move, Tom, to make room for the new stuff.
I'm aware. So so I've been sorting through models and stuff like that. I got a silver tower box. Like, how many of those are still in existence?
8 more little goblin, whatever they are, spider goblins on the pile for you amongst the 100 you already have. Yes.
140 is how many I have. But, yeah, that's good. So that's what I've been working on. I've been working on models.
Nice. Well, if you don't have a home for those Terrorgeists, just give me a ring-a-ding, and I'm sure I can find a place for them.
Sure.
My hobby time. Oh, it's been quite a busy week. I did get to play with the new Soulblight Gravelord since the book leaked. I just went ahead and played a game with them this last weekend. By the way, our Soulblight Gravelord show will be next week. We'll be reviewing it. So that was fun. I played some Avangori, the monster people. I had a good time there.
Mm-hmm.
I finished up that Bellicor, which was a long project. And so that means it's time to swing the pendulum all the way in the other direction and go from a single model and a long project to a whole army in 24 hours. So I've been getting that ready all week, assembling everything. Here we have our Hit Bat, and here we have our Smash Bat, and here we have our Super Smash Bat. So it will be easy to identify. Just to show you the wing difference here, it's significant.
A little
So
bit
there you go.
about Smash Bat and Super Smash Bat.
Super Smash Bat. Yes, correct. And I've got the whole rest of the army assembled back there for the most part. Just waiting on a few more ghouls that somebody's printing for me, because I'm going to use some of the I'm going to use some 3D printed ghouls in addition to some of the normal ghouls to separate the units. Ironically, the 3D printed ghouls are like D&D minis, and I did not realize just how big they are, and they're bigger. So
Surprise!
they got some. I'm gonna have meaty ghouls, real meaty ghouls. So this will be a 24-hour army challenge. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to paint it, but they'll be all prepped up at least this week. Ryan Taylor says, "What's a Smash Bat?" Smash Bat is a particular build of Flesh Eater Quartz that doesn't use any of the big monsters like the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist or whatever, and instead uses a supercharged Vargulf, which I will be using Varg Skiers that have been modified to have wings as mine. And it uses those, and you fire them like a giant heat-seeking missile and get in there. Stone said, so no 24-hour FEC video. Oh, no, there's absolutely going to be a 24-hour video out of this, yes. We'll see. It might be less than 24 hours. Like, I kind of want to push myself here, but we'll see what it comes out to. I'll paint the army, and if I can do it in less than 12, it'll be, can I paint a 2,000-point army in less than 12 hours? Which that'll be fun. So, yes, that's Smash Bat. So I'm very excited. So I've been assembling tons of stuff all week.
Nice. I look forward to that video.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I know what we're going to do for the paint scheme. This one will be a little different. Every one of these videos I do is different and presents different tactics for speed painting. So this one will be different again. So there you go. Okay. So that's hobby time. Yeah. Lot going on. Real busy.
Yeah.
But sure. Tom, shall we get to the main topic?
Absolutely.
All right. So here on the screen now, I have quarters after the release of AoS 3, Q3 2021, Q4 2021, Q1 2022, Q2 2022, as well as all the army books. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to discuss... I've got a couple little boxes for new armies as well, just in case. Okay?
Yep.
I need to pull that in. Well, it doesn't matter. Some of the books are slightly cut off on the frame, but that's fine. We're going to discuss where these need to go. So, which AoS 3 armies do we think should get new Battletomes, and in what order? That is the question. All right? And when we put an army in here...
Yep.
By the way, we're not going to move all the armies in because they're not all going to have a new tome in the next year, obviously. Right?
Yep.
But when we put an army in, I also want us to do a nice discussion of what exactly we want that new book to be, to encompass, to, feel like, that kind of thing. We don't need to get into details, but obviously, conceptually. That makes sense, right? Sure. Like how we would want it kind of refeeling or redesigned or to play or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okie dokie. We understand the concept. So I think we can safely start out and say right here in Q3 2021, I'm just going to go ahead and slide our Stormcast Eternals up there and slide New Army 1 right up there.
Yeah. I mean, those are obvious.
Like, those are obvious.
We know those are coming. Yes.
Yeah. Out of the gate. We know we're getting a new Stormcast and a new army in the new book set.
Do you want me to be bold and tell you who the next two books are? Or, well, I guess we should. Do we need to talk about these two?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Let's talk about these two a little. What do we want to see out of these books? Like, we know they're coming, because they're going to be in the box set, right? So what do we want to see?
I hope we get a little bit more of the Stormkeep discussion.
Okay.
Like what we saw with Stormkeep, which was like inverse or reverse Cities of Sigmar. Mm-hmm. I hope that gets integrated, and so we have you have your Stormhost rules, right? or not storm host. You have like your standard lightning strike rules for like those being dropped out on the field.
Mhm.
Then you have the storm keep rules, and then I hope they surprise us with a third like overarching category.
Okay.
And I don't know what that is, but I would love it to be something like the Order of Azir, like we've talked about.
Sure.
But I don't think though that it would be that bold. I think that more likely what we'll see those two, and we'll see each of the storm hosts having their own thing, and we'll see whatever the new chamber is that gets unlocked.
I'll tell you what I want the Stormcast to be.
Sure.
I want them to be some golden gods, baby. I want them coming down. Basically, I mean, you saw the third Thor movie, right? Okay.
I did.
You know the
Yep.
scene with the immigrant song playing where like Thor comes in and he like lands amongst all of like Hela's
Yep.
zombies
Yep.
and just
Yep.
like smashes them apart in lightning, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want the book to feel like that. Every time I pick up the book, I should hear that song and see that scene in my mind unbidden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Where like
I would love that. I would love that.
Where these things are just combat monsters. Right?
Yeah.
Just unbelievably tough and unbelievably damaging. And their penalty being they're elite. They are few. Right? And truly keep them few. Like, I'd move their points up. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd make them slightly more expensive, 10, 20% more expensive, and really make them, like, come
Beefy.
in and punch.
Yeah.
And, like, they are the bulwark, right? They have to be worth 5 times their weight in any other army.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So,
yeah, I'd agree with that.
That's what I want.
I want more lightning. That's my answer. More lightning.
More lightning, yes. So there you go. And then New Army 1, if it is the, orc / goblins halfway, whatever, sneaky goblins, I don't know.
Yep.
I can't think of a clever name to combine them, so I don't know. Whatever they are, I hope they play
Knob
unlike
goblins.
What's that?
Knob goblins.
Knob goblins, sure, yeah, not
hobgoblins.
goblins, yeah.
Yep.
The way I would want them to play is unlike other destruction forces, which is just I would like them to be, I would like
tactical
them to be
and strategic rather than mass.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
That's exactly right. An actual like strategic army in destruction that allows for sort of synergy and multiple layers of different attack strategies and play and stuff like that, right? That is sort of a thing that doesn't really get explored in destruction. Most destruction armies are like there is one way to play that army, and they have one setting. It's not always Smash, but it's something not that far off, right? It's so it's have tons of bodies, fly forward, smash. Have a few bodies, run forward, smash super hard, right? Or be giants,
like
don't smash much at all, but move forward and stand better than your opponents can stand.
A melee Caradron Overlords, or a melee, or a Night Haunt-esque army. That's what this needs to be.
Yeah. Yep.
So, high mobility, sneaky. Tactics.
Yeah, like let them play more tactically, more synergistically, more in sort of a finesse way. There you go. That's the word I want. Brandon says, "Do you think that they should keep the sub factions gated, where you have to use its rules? 40K lets you explore a bit more, and it's fun to play with the list building and all the combos." Yes, I think they should keep the sub factions in the ways that they have. Although I would argue the best way they've done sub-factions is actually what they have in the new Soulblight Gravelords and how Slaves to Darkness works and how Cities works, where it's not paying for itself by opportunity cost, it's paying for itself by restriction in that you can only select from like list A, and it sort of restricts your units and stuff like that accordingly. That's how it kind of should feel, I think. I think that's the best version of it in my mind. So.
Yeah. No, that's true.
But like, I'm okay with them having the sub factions that are pure opportunity cost funded, But
Yep.
no, I don't want that level of complexity because like they haven't proven themselves to be able to handle the complexity that's out there now. So introducing more
There's not going to be any battalions.
futziness, like we need to reduce complexity in this game
Sure.
down still.
We're on our way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if the
Getting rid of
rumors are true
battalions, it's a
about
good step.
battalions, like honestly, it's one of, like, to their credit, the more I thought about it, it's one of the most significant steps they could have done.
Yeah.
Just simply because when you rock up against another army, it's bad enough not knowing war scrolls.
Yeah.
You can pull those up on an app, but not knowing a battalion,
Right.
there's
Whereas
no
now
other
they're
way
like,
to have.
oh, I'm using the, hero and some guys to protect that hero battalion, and it's like, oh, okay, sure, yeah,
Okay,
because I have the same battalion
everybody's.
option. Right.
I've yes, I've internalized what your battalion is because it's my battalion also.
Right.
It's like it's one of my options. And so instead, I only have to learn your army specific rules
Right.
and your war scroll units.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry, Ghost Mutton. We'll talk about 5-point increments next week and why
Man,
that's stupid.
that would be a great set of content that somebody could produce content on.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. All right, so those are the two new ones. Slam dunk, fine. What's next, Tom? Let's go. What's after this? Hit me.
Night Haunt. Can I do 2 books too?
Sure, man.
Night Haunt.
Okay.
And Beasts of Chaos. I think those are our next 2 books.
Those are our next 2 books. Okay. Tell me why.
Yeah, totally. So Night Haunt is in like a deep need of revision.
Okay.
Like there's so many aspects of the book that is mired in second edition. And not the least of which is how almost everything is balanced around the battalions. Like battalions were front and center to what that book was, and they began to integrate those into the like subfactions in the Shattered Realms. But the book is just so much bigger than that. And so I think that, like there's other subfactions or other things that they need to explore. There's also a number of war scrolls that need to be rebalanced and revisited. And I know this sounds silly, but they also have stock that they're going to need to clear out.
Okay.
There's a bunch of these hybrid second edition boxes that they need to like move. And the way you do that is you offer an aggressively costed army that is compelling, that's interesting, that's visually striking, and you have tons of models of.
Okay.
So I think that's a slam dunk for Night Haunt.
Okay.
And then for Beasts of Chaos, I think that the model range needs to be revisited. Our new world is based in Gur, so they're like contextually appropriate for the world we're going to be in.
Sure.
They're one of our oldest books.
Yep.
And they complete a 4th Chaos faction. I know, or the not Chaos faction, the 4th of the Grand Alliances, and so they actually complement the other 3 books that have been released that we've named.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because you've got like just let's drill this home in case everybody's not keeping up with you. You have an order book, Stormcast.
Yep.
We have a destruction book, New Army 1 placeholder TBD. You're saying Night Haunt, that's your death, because it would be like if they're gonna do a death one and it's not gonna be new, which fair, right? It feels like if we're gonna do another death book, it's going to be a redo. And it's the one that makes more sense to redo, right? Flesh Eaters doesn't really need it very much.
No.
Night Haunt
but Flesh Eaters would be contextually appropriate. Let me just say that. Like, I think Flesh Eaters, I could see them in Gur. Like, that makes sense to me.
Sure, but we just got and we just got Soulblight, and honestly, the real problem is Flesh Eaters would feel very Soulblightish because there's a lot of vampires in Flesh Eaters as well. All the leaders of that army are also vampires, right? So that kind of leaves ghosts as like your option, basically, right? Right. And then okay, so now we need a Chaos faction. So what Chaos faction do we pick? Well, Beast is a good pick. I like the Gur pick because really your 2 Chaos picks are going to be sort of 2 of the things that weren't really touched in Kragnos in any big way, right? Or at
Skaven.
all. Which is like Skaven, Blades of Khorne, right?
Yep.
And Beasts. And so then the question becomes, okay, which one of these 3 kind of needs it the most / would fit in best with the evolving narrative, right? And it feels like you've identified that, yeah, probably that's right.
And that's
Okay.
also the book that needs the fastest updating because of um, the marked beasts.
Yes, because they're losing their
Right,
god marked beasts. Yeah.
right, right. And so this actually fixes a real problem that they've created for themselves with the exit of the battalions.
Right.
So my gut is that those 4 books are the first 4.
Okay. Now, are there more than like are you putting both of these in Q3? I dropped them here both in Q3, which would mean they'd have to release by the end of September. Are you saying that both of those drop into this time frame?
Yes, I think that we have the first 2 books drop in August,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the next 2 would drop in. The next 2 will drop in September, is what I'm calling.
Okay. So kind of we go for a pairing/pairing situation, as we've done with many releases. Like it's become very
Yeah.
common that we just put out 2 books now. Right.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm gonna say I ride with those 2 choices. I'm okay with those.
Yeah.
Um, here's the thing. I think that from there, you maybe get one more book this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like and
Really? With the new edition, you don't think that we get a lot in Q4?
nope, I really don't. I think you get like one book in October. I really do.
Then I know what book it is.
Okay. What do you think?
You ready?
I'm ready, man. Hit me.
It's the new Unified Dwarves.
The new you. So you're pulling the trigger and saying new army, Q4,
Yep.
new dwarves. Okay.
Yep. And but the new part is like it's like gets new.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's like a handful of units that are new-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So my call is this. Both the KO, you can bump forward the KO and the Fireslayer book and roll them all into this new book. They're all a re-release together.
Okay. So effectively, it's kind of acting as sort of in there. This becomes the Auric War Clans of dwarves, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna call. And the dwarves would be like steampunky, but more magic oriented, like rune magic oriented, rather than like full on KO. But it would be like magic fueled technology, which is very KO-ish. I acknowledge. But it'll be a lot of like golems and ground units and stuff like that, complemented by fire slayers, who also will have the same runes, and so you'll have a lot of the like visually the aesthetics across the army.
Yep.
Will share there, and then new Grungy center with like the rune stuff would aesthetically mesh with the fire slayers because of the rune stuff, and then the tech with the KO.
Okay.
And so I think that that's the trajectory, and that reads into the narrative, right? Because Grungy's now involved. Like that's part of what's going on here, is that like he has entered, he's entered the battlefield.
Sure. Yeah, he's making new Stormcast. He's hanging out with dwarves. Yep. Sure.
Yep. And so I think that was what was alluded to, and that'll be, and so we'll have a technically like another real big army in Q3, which is fairly standard. Like, let me point that out. Like that October time slot is pretty common to have a new army there.
Yeah, sure. It's often when we get it's when we got OBR. If you look back at the Battletome history, it's pretty common to get to get your new army around that time of year. They like it as a big pre-Christmas thing, right? Like dropping a completely brand new force is a good thing to do around October, because then you got a brand new one there for Christmas season. Yep. Like that's pretty straightforward, simple marketing, right?
Yep.
Okay. Counterpoint, Tom. Okay. Yep. There has been a rumor.
Oh, go on.
Rumor has it that we will see Malarian in Q4 of this year and his stuff.
What?
Mm-hmm. This has been a rumor that has circulated, yes. From a quasi-reliable source.
Wow.
So could our new army in Q4, instead of being dwarves, Could it be
I
our shadow elves?
I bow down. Like if that's legitimate, then sure. I mean, I think it's a new army is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm looking at writing on the wall, the one army that really does have writing on the wall is the new um whatever they're called. Is the new dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. Uh, let's put a little or here. Or. There we go. All right.
That's classy.
That's what we're here for, my friend. It's just top-notch work, top shelf, all the way. That's what we
But
do.
you can like layer all the dwarf books underneath that dwarf book.
Sure.
Because like I think that a lot of stuff will be rolled in there is what I would say.
Yeah,
Because you're saving tons of pages on like battalions and stuff like that.
the here's my here would be my feelings.
Okay.
Vince's personal take is I don't want either of these. Okay?
Sure.
Like I couldn't care less about either of these armies. Now,
Yep.
I reserve the right to be blown away by Umbraneth or
Yep.
Malarian's forces or whatever if they come out and they don't look like elves and they're cool like shadow demons and stuff everywhere,
With
right?
pointy ears. Like they were maybe once elves, maybe.
Yeah, if they're like weird twisted nightmare creatures that look like that initial Malarian picture that we got back in the
Yeah.
core book, you know?
Yep.
And we've seen Malarian pop up, by the way. The most recent short story that was published did have Malarian and Marathi having a sort of heart to heart, and it was a very fun conversation with the two of them, and her getting very angry at him, and then like cutting his finger off. I wonder if that's going to actually persist. Like, did she permanently cut a finger off of him? I hope so.
No, of course not. Of
Oh, I
course
hope so.
not.
I think that'd be cool. Just like I understand he's a god, but like, hey, he get cut by a god. Maybe he can't heal. It'd be really neat if he had like 9 fingers in some art. That would just be a cool nod. Just be neat.
Sure. Sure.
If we got the dwarf book, I would want it to be the Auric War Clan style, where each thing retains its own personality, but also then you have the ability to put them all together, Big Wa style.
Right. And that fixes Fire Slayers for us.
Sure.
Which is a perennial like
Boring army, I think is what you're looking for there.
Well, but it fixes the Hermdar first strike thing. Like
yeah,
you can get in front of all of that, right?
Yep.
And
you
so
can unscrew Hearthguard Berserkers, yes.
Right. And then the unit shortage that Fire Slayers suffer is no longer a crisis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah.
Okay. It's just hard to see like neither of these. I mean, like it's not like the entire cycle is going to be just completely focused on Gur, so they'll certainly go, broader afield, right? Than just that. Neither of these armies really have a footprint in Gur, right? So it's like okay,
right.
And the armies that do tend to have a big footprint in Gur, I can't imagine they're going to redo anytime soon. That is to say, like, I don't think we're getting a new Maw Tribes book anytime soon. I don't think we're getting a new Sons of Bahamut book anytime soon. Much to my chagrin. But, here we are.
Yep.
Okay. So, to me, when I look at that, that'd be a pretty solid, rest of the year, right? You'd basically have, like, 5 army books coming out over the sort of... Let's call it 5-ish months, basically, is how it would break down. Now, they wouldn't actually roll out one a month, right? We'd kind of get them in pairs and then a singlet. Heavy D6 says, is Dispossessed going to be in it? In this imaginary world we've constructed.
Of course.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, but either that or they'd all be, 1 in 4s. That would be the other way they could do it, right? It could be here's new Fire Slayers, here's new KO. Both armies can have 1 in 4 regular Dispossessed. Here's Big Wall. You can do it all with all Dispossessed in there.
If I were to take a guess, though, the 1 in 4 wouldn't be Dispossessed. Dispossessed would be able to just slot right in. If I were to take a guess, KO are the 1 in 4.
Sure, because they're the ones that want to remain independent, that are too profit-driven to join their friends.
Right.
Whereas the other two still have roots and still have a foot in tradition.
Right, and so you have basically a huge foot army of all the different dwarf types and then KO
Sure.
as the 1 and 4. Like I could completely see that.
Okay. All right.
So, and then that explains for the critique that like we recently had a KO book that explains the launch cycle.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Holy Hand Grenade says, "Are we sure we're getting 2 a month? 40K tried to end up going down to 1 because of COVID." No, I don't think we're getting 2 a month. I mean, in this little strategy here that we've
These
laid
are
out,
quarters.
it's 1 a month, with some months having 2 releasing at a time,
Right.
which they've shown that they can do. Right? Like, I mean, just recently, Doc and Slanesh came out at the same time, so like, we can still do that. They like releasing 2 AoS books at the same time. It's been very popular. Like since 2019, they've done a lot of
pairing
releases. Yes, they really seem to like that.
Yep.
And frankly, I don't mind. It's fine. It lets them kind of draw a lot of attention in a big way to AoS.
Yep.
The other reason I think 5 books isn't that crazy is because one would hope by Q3, Q4, we're completely on the other side of this, or at least the UK is, and and they've basically, hopefully, returned back. Their new factory is completely up. They've solved their distribution issues, right? Like, one hopes we get that solved.
Yep.
Okay. That's a fingers crossed statement. I openly admit it. Okay, but I'll be hopeful. Okay. I think that's probably the rest of the year. If we get more than 5 books, because they don't tend to release books in December for obvious reasons. It's a bad time to release books, right?
Yep.
They release like holiday bundles in late November. You know, the big battle boxes and stuff like that. That's what you put out.
They might release a terrain line in November.
Sure. Yeah, like
that's a very common.
I could see us getting a non-battle tome.
Yep.
In that period, like a Wrath of the Everchosen or something like that, you know? Like there'll be a new narrative series. When AoS 3 starts, and we're not going to factor that in because I have no idea what we'd even guess about that. But keep in mind, there's probably like 1 to 2 other books in this time period here, because consider with new 40K, they also launched the was that Charadron Crusade or whatever? I don't know what 40K things are called. But like they had the Book of Rust and the Book of Fire or something, and you know, whatever, right? And so to me, there's going to be some kind of like narrative, here's extra rules for your armies also happening alongside of this. Right?
Yep.
And then yes, you've also got stuff like a new Underworld season and potential Warcry releases. Like, I mean, it's, you know, whatever. It's not like this is all for AoS, right? So, okay. Artorisaurus Rex. That is a very complicated name. I just joined, but don't you think Sylvaneth will come in 2021? No, I don't. Because I think that they're going to rely on Kragnos to do the heavy lifting for them. Because we know Sylvaneth are going to be in Kragnos. Because we've seen the egg launch, you know, egg birthing, insect birthing, egg carrying flute player, right? And they mentioned that Ilario will have a new scroll in there as well. So my guess is Sylvaneth are going to get quite a treatment in Kragnos, and that's basically, and they just like, okay, that's going to be them for a little while, right? So that would be my particular feeling on that. All right, okay. So Tom, anything else we see in 2021? Oh, let's talk about if we get the Malarian army. What do you want to see out of a Malarian army if we get that? So instead of the dwarves, we get Malarian.
Weird. I'm in for a weird. Like, and like magical creepy weird, not like cow weird, right? Yeah. Like I want esoteric, like I want all of the deep Cthulhu weird stuff from Ideneth, but darker. I want them harnessing the madness of darkness.
Yes. I want nightmare creatures.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want. I want like Dark Souls type of just demon shadow creatures that are just awful and weird and twisted. Like the most horrible imaginations of the
Yep.
things that came out of like uh Drukari or something like that,
Yeah.
twisted through that Ulgu AOS lens, right?
Yeah, as Tidings said, AOS 28, the army.
Yeah, that's so good. Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
100%. That's
yeah.
dead
That would
on.
be great. Yeah,
And you know how it plays, I don't care. Like I really like
sure.
I you know the nice thing to have here, if we think about like it's another order book, right?
Yep.
These are both order books. So if you know it's going to be like the deepest, darkest order, okay.
Yep.
So if that's going to be the case, then I want it like at the edge of what order means, right? Like Malarian is sort of ruling with this. He's ruled Ulgu. That's a fun thing to say. With this like iron fist, right? He's kept chaos
Yep.
more or less out. He's kept the Lumineth and the twins out, right? Even without with Marathi's help, of course, too. But like he's really sort of in charge of his place, very very much so, right?
Yep.
And I would like to see him have order in this, and like with the Dark Elves, you've always had this kind of undercurrent of sort of slavish will, right? Like to the sorceresses having control of their troops and things like that. You know, like having some sort of mind control of their troops. So I'd love
Yep.
to see order like in the extreme, where
Yeah.
Malarian is like sort of the darkest side of what order can be, right? What
Like
happens when there's
just
just when there's no like they're still living people, they still go about their lives, but they know that they have to operate within this very tight space, right?
yeah, I wonder, yeah, like you could do like pure obedience, like fascist obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could go even darker and go for like a mind control, like willing thrall, releasing yourself over to the leader overlord for control.
Mm-hmm.
And so like control in a very like order implemented top down in a very literal sense magically.
Yeah. Somebody said Tiding said pure order, like an ant colony. Yes.
Yes. Oh, that'd be so dark. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it'd be good.
That feels like the way they should go there,
Yeah.
right? Yes, unity at any cost. You know, peace through war. That's right. Okay. So, it's just all I'm picturing now is just like the bad guys from V for Vendetta. So, or V for Vendetta. Yeah. So there you go. Sorry. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about 2022. What chaos army do we launch the year with, Tom? That's the question, right?
Nurgle.
Because new
Nurgle's
years
the-
mean new chaos armies. That's how we
Nurgle.
start a year at AOS.
Actually, you know what? Do you want my desired answer, or do you want my realistic answer?
Why don't you give me both and we'll make a decision?
Okay. I think the most logical is Nurgle because how old the book is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just it needs to be updated. My first army was a Nurgle army, and actually it was based in Gur. Like it was a Gur based. It was the Horden Legion. Called Shot. It's going to be updated in the lore because GW likes to do that now. It's not. I know nothing, but GW can make it happen. So Nurgle just needs to be updated. There's a lot of like hanger-on rules and a bunch of different resources at this point. Wrath of the Everchosen, Broken Realms, etc., etc.
Sure.
And so it would be great if they collected all those in a single resource. So Nurgle would be an obvious kind of pick for me, and then they could roll all those new War Scrolls into a single resource. That's the boring answer. The fun answer, Molder.
Skaven.
But not like maybe Skaven update as a whole, but with an entire relaunch of the Molder line.
Okay, where does Khorne fit into all of this?
They don't.
Is the question. So you're just saying like we're going without Khorne, we're leaving them on the back burner, like you're just gonna have to.
I know exactly where they fit. They fit in April.
So you're going that fast afterward.
No, I mean, but that's what they always do. We've had like 2 corn books in April.
Sure.
I mean,
April
right?
is the time for corn. Yeah, it's true. You're not wrong.
Well,
It's always
well,
that
no,
time of year.
the April May window, we had both corn and Slanesh launch.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think it could be very possible that we would see that. The other alternative instead of corn or instead of Nurgle, sorry, or Molder slash Skaven,
Yeah.
would be I could see Gits dropping in that spot because we've had that happen before.
Okay.
And I think we will have a destruction in this next queue. Like
Okay.
I think that we are moving. I think Q1 we are moving into the world of like this. I think most quarters will have a destruction army in it. Let me just say that. Like I think that Q4 is the exception because they're pushing the new army. But I think we'll see a relaunch of Gits in Q1.
Hmm. Yeah, the Nurgle slash corn distinction here is challenging to me. Okay,
Sure.
because Nurgle has gotten a lot of attention in like Broken Realms, but as you pointed out, it's gotten a lot of attention in a lot of different places, and you could see them wanting to
Yep.
unify all of that together into a single new tome. Like they do
Yep.
like doing
Yep.
that, right?
Yep. Yep.
At the same time, Korn really does feel like he's just out of the story at this point. Like he's not showing
Yeah.
up in anything. He didn't show anywhere in Broken Realms, right?
Yep.
So to me, what that communicates is so you have this kind of logical pull, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna say I think Korn is actually our start of the year launch. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
And here's the thing. I would even go so far as to say, um, if we got slammed with more books this year than we thought,
Yep.
it wouldn't
Yep.
surprise me that Korn moved up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
like he could end up going up this direction
Yeah.
if it turns out that like, oh no, we we're gonna have 6 books instead of 5. Okay.
Yep.
So that absence of any kind of content just
Mm-hmm.
feels like they're saying, "Hey, we didn't do it because there's a new corn book coming." Right?
Yeah. Maybe.
And I don't
Maybe.
really think like I know a lot of people want what a lot of people want to make this decision on is the competitiveness of the army,
Sure.
okay?
Which is not what
Which
this is.
means absolutely zero to them.
Right.
Okay.
But I want to point out that Nurgle hasn't been updated since the prior edition.
Yeah, I understand. It's still in its AOS 1 book, technically.
Right.
Technically.
Right.
I get it.
Like, I mean, in that time, Korn got an altar.
Sure. Like um the my general feeling is we've got these 2 hangers on from
Yep.
AOS 1 still, right?
Yep.
Of Idneth and Nurgle. And
Yep.
I don't know what they do with those because they both got a lot of attention in books in Broken Realms.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So the question is, how much do they consider that like the update for that army?
Well, the problem is that those aren't perennial books.
Sure.
So, like, that's going to disappear at some point in time, those special release books.
Okay.
And so, like, I think that I think that actually bumps up the update itself. I think that those narrative books end up serving as like a glimpse into the future, much like End Times Archeon did.
Sure.
End Times Archeon, like, just gave us a glimpse as to where AOS was headed.
Sure.
Ascendance of Archeon, the rulership of Khorne, like, and then what happened is AOS dropped, and then we got all those big releases, the Bloodbound and stuff like that. And so we had just gotten the Whippy guys, the
Wrathmongers.
Yes, we got Wrathmongers, and we also got the big demons.
Oh, the Bloodthirsters.
The Bloodthirsters. There you go.
Okay.
Brain's not working tonight. Sorry.
I'm trying to think of what corn whippy guy you're talking about. There's a lot of corn whippy guys.
There are a lot of corn whip. Surprisingly, there are a lot of corn whippy guys. So that's like I think Nurgle is the shoe in. Honestly.
Okay. All right.
But I could see corn as a possibility. It's just I think that what we saw in Broken Realms is going to bump stuff down. I actually think we will see IDK get bumped up
Okay. So where does IDK fall
in this Q1.
in this
I think
Q1?
it's I think
That's when we're grabbing our IDK update. So boom,
yeah,
boom, we're gonna
I
slot
think
them
it's
in right there.
I think it's a February release, late January, early February release.
Okay. All right.
And actually, I don't think it's going to release alone. I think at the same time, we are going to get at least one. I think Gits will probably release around this time.
So this is when we get our new Gits book. We bring these in. That would be an odd pairing. I'll say that.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be weird? Elves and like, but you could see a box, like you could see a dual box, right? That's heavy on beasts.
Sure.
Like,
I mean, it's not like OBR and ogres makes any necessary sense either. So like they've,
sure,
you know,
but
they
like
putting
think
these
about
two
like
weird things
a
together.
box full of like squigs and sharks and eels.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, beasts
and crabs.
And crabs.
Plenty of crab action.
Crab. Okay. The other book that I see slotting in either in this queue or in the next would be Sylvaneth. I think Sylvaneth is going to be up there.
Yeah, I mean, so this is it's like let me throw my Q2 picks at you. You ready? Because Q2 brings us to the end of the financial year, and I think 3 in the quarters probably what we'll end up getting in Q1.
Yep.
That would be pretty aggressive. I think we'll get a singlet and a double release. So like this could be
I agree.
it.
Yep.
So my 3 would be Sylvaneth. I agree with you. Like they're screaming to get some kind of attention.
Yep.
I think here's where you see Nurgle. Okay, I think this is when we finally say, all right, it's been enough. We got it. We got to do something with these guys and unify it all together. Okay.
Yep.
And then I know what I want to be the case, but I don't think it's going to happen yet. I'll talk about what I think is going to happen after that, right? But I think you basically see, like maybe Cities 2.
Yeah,
here.
I can see that. Like a Gur-based Cities.
Yeah, an expansion. So Cities 2, Electric Boogaloo, more cities. We love cities, right?
Yep.
Feeling like the thing that's going to happen. Those would be my 3. Now, what I want to put here more than anything, is Skaven. I like everything in my soul demands it, but I think Skaven would actually be hanging out like down here somewhere. Like
maybe Skaven is the next summer release.
Correct, because I think it'll be a whole line relaunch whenever they do it, and so I think it'll be, it'll be like like a Necron style thing. I stand behind that. I can't imagine them making another Skaven book not prompted by a relaunch.
Yeah,
right, of the line.
Yep.
So, so it wouldn't be like when I say a new Cities of Sigmar. Keep in mind, I don't mean like take the original Cities book, update it. I think that one stays. I think this is Cities 2, which is like sort of technically a new army book, but it's going to use all the same troops. Maybe they'll release a few new units, maybe not, right? But it would just be more cities. Cities 2, more cities. We love cities, right?
Yep.
A state of Kevin about the hobgoblins. Do you think the Femur could ever be included in the army as followers? Do you think the Femur will ever get a place? No. Simple answer. Nope. I think they will leave them relegated to history. So there you go.
Say that again. Like
I think they'll leave them
the old cities.
Yes.
The old cities.
Yeah. The old. No. Femur. Yeah.
Femur. Oh yeah.
To me, let me tell you why I like this. Okay. This run here is because the Sylvaneth Maggotkin combo is the showdown we've been pushing for. This is where the narrative is driving. This is the showdown of life, the explosion of life in Ghyran. Okay?
Yep.
So you could switch these around, right? Like, it could be, like, here you go. Here's another way this could happen, right? It could be Sylvaneth and Maggotkin in Q1 in a box, and Blades and Idneth in Q2 or something, right? Like, that would be, like, sure. I would buy that just as easily. the point is that whenever these two books to me are going to move in tandem. Sylvaneth and
Okay.
Nurgle, like Alariel and Nurgle, are locked in this huge
Yep.
battle
Yep.
over Gairan. We know that there's this explosion of life. We know that this is happening. It's a box set that sells itself, right? This one's a slam dunk. So whether it ends up being Q2 or Q1, which I do think this is this is a 2022 box set we will see,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the reason I like cities being the other thing in here, even though you're like, well, it's 2 order. Well, yeah, but there's like 50 million order armies, so sometimes that's going to happen, right? The reason I like this as a concept is because cities is easy. It's probably just a book.
Yeah. 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 They don't need to update, kits.
Right. Right. So that gets you
Yeah.
like your 6 books in 6 months, which is, again, it's an aggressive strategy, right? But we have to
Yeah.
assume that's what they want. When they kind of had their will in 2019, they did like 12 books in 12 months. Right? The last time we had a regular production cycle, that's what we had. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think to me, this is kind of the rotation that makes sense. With then like that will, but if then by the time we're a year out from the launch, there's no more AoS 1 books floating around, right?
Yep.
We've expanded some armies here in real ways. Like with the Blades, we'd have a chance to re-release some stuff that's not currently available individually, or make new kits, or whatever, right? With Gloomspite, we get a chance for them to basically get an updated book on top of that really more brings them in line with probably like fixing a lot of the design and maybe and integrating all of the insane material that's kind of been spread all over the place. It's now pseudo getting coalesced into uh, other books, right? Whatever.
Yep.
And then IDK, same story, right? It lets them bring this stuff forward because by that point, the life cycle. But you're right that the life cycle of these Broken Realms books, they're only going to be on the shelf for so long. They're only going to be in the consciousness for so long, right?
Right.
So this
right.
would let them then move beyond those at sort
and
of
even
a reasonable time frame.
Too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So my answer is that to me feels good. Again, the one hanger on here that I wish I could place, but I just can't, is Skaven. But I think it'll be a relaunch in the summer. It feels like a kick off the year, big summer box, big summer release. Skaven, woohoo, we're going nuts, right? Something we'd preview at like maybe Adepticon or whatever, right?
Who does Skaven pair up with?
I don't know. I don't know if they do it all, honestly. But if you were gonna pair them with somebody, it could be anybody. I mean, Skaven are the Simpsons meme of like, just Skaven are the enemy of these people and these people and these people and Skaven, stupid Skaven, you ruined Skaven, right? Like it's like they fight everybody. So you can just that's what's great about them. You could throw them in anything, and they would work. They could have any enemy.
Yeah.
Whatever book you felt like doing, you could have Skaven as the enemy. So, yeah. Let's talk for just a moment about what we would want to see out of these books, because we kind of got them ordered. Now let's do some quick hits on our 2022 picks and what we want to see. Okay? So, Blades of Corn. What do we want to see? We've talked about it before. We did a whole fixing episode. Superheroes that go forward and test themselves in combat. Get rid of the Holy Within. It should be a much less synergistic army and more an army of like people trying to constantly prove themselves and getting in fights and dying and the strong surviving. Right? Like have more non-leader heroes. That kind of concept. Yeah?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. I'd be in for that.
Idneth, just combine everything that's there and bring their rules up to 2.0 and probably wheel some of the stuff back. Like finally bring thralls up, bring eels down. Okay. probably pretty good. Right?
Yep.
So, there you go. Scott Pickett says, New Skaven battle box, Mulder versus Eshin. Yeah, exactly. Like, you could do that. You could do a battle box of just Skaven with two different Skaven armies fighting each other.
I mean,
Right?
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I could even see a Skaven versus Khorne.
Sure. Sure.
That'd be
Again,
weird.
yeah. All the rest of Chaos hates Skaven, so fine. Yes. Oh, also in BOC, some people said like Bloodthirsters should be scary again. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Like, move them up 100 points and make them appropriate for a 380 point monster, right, or something like
Totally.
that. I want Greater Demons should be like they should just start with saying, okay, Greater Demons are 400 points. What rules do we need to write to make them worth that?
Be fun,
right? That's what they should be at.
Yeah.
Like, in the sweep of the game, when you look at what Greater Demons should be, they should be 400 points. Now write rules to make them hit that number. Because they're Greater Demons. Like, that should be the place they occupy. Right? Okay. Gloomspite, I mean, get rid of keyword bingo, right? Is that... bring everything together and eliminate keyword bingo.
Yeah, you just need to remove like one tier of keyword bingo.
Sure.
Because there are like 3 different tiers of it at least. Fix the bad moon.
Sure.
I don't know what that means, but fix it. It probably means that it affects so
yes,
here's how
Brian S. I do remember how scary Bloodthirsters were in Warhammer 4th and 5th editions. That's when I started playing. And most of my games began with my opponent going, I fly high. And me being like, okay, well, I guess I'm dead pretty soon then. Go ahead.
Yep. No, I mean, so maybe with the moon affects the entire battlefield, but you're determining intensity, like whether there's cloud cover or not.
Cloud cover?
I don't know. But the idea being that like it just sucks to not actually get your mechanic, because all of your mechanic ties to a moving moon.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yes, give them real allegiance abilities that can actually occur in round 1 of the game. Sure. It's a crazy idea. It's crazy enough it just might work, Tom.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. For Sylvaneth, like, honestly, since we don't know what exactly is happening in Kragnos, it's kind of hard to tell, right?
Yeah.
But like, Sylvaneth need to have some kind of actual personality, and I think they're just always going to be dragged down by the woods. My honest answer is Sylvaneth are always going to be a really, really difficult army to do, because I don't think they're ever going to get rid of the woods.
Yeah, like beyond what, like you're saying, getting rid of the like multi-base wood situation.
Correct. Which should just be fired off the roof. It should be a single terrain piece. You set up 1 woods at the beginning of the game, and then you spend the rest of the game turning existing terrain pieces into wild woods, causing them to be overgrown. And then you can teleport to them. That's the easy fix. We've talked about it for a million years on this show. Like, we have been saying it for years. And they could have done it in the last Sylvaneth book, and they didn't. And I don't think they ever will. And that's going to mean that, like, Sylvaneth are always kind of an annoying army. Because they always have this really terrible mechanic. Like, just at the heart of the book is a rotten mechanic.
Yeah.
I hope they get the bravery to kill that. It's terrible, and it holds the book back. It makes people not want to play that army actively.
True. It's true.
Because to take it to a tournament or to my friend's house or to the store, not only do I have to pack up a lot of fiddly, fragile models in Dryads and the Revenants and stuff, but then I also have to get like a whole separate box to bring my potentially 15 woods pieces I need.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just toxic, and I wish they would realize it. And it makes the army hard to balance, because needing to set those up in between existing terrain, which of course you do, right? If you're gonna start adding crap to the board, right? It's not fun to play against. It's fiddly and hard to play against. They're one of the worst terrains to move around and to interact with. Okay. And if you play on heavy terrain boards, as you should be, as we talked about
Yeah.
in last night's show,
Yep.
congratulations, Sylvaneth always suck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it just feels like they need to do the bold thing here. So I'll restate that, like, fix the woods. That's the number one thing I would want to see. If you fix the woods, right?
Yep.
You've got potential here. You know, have the army actually play. Let them be sort of a jack of all trades where they can do a lot of different things, but then just clearly kind of slightly up the power level across the boards. So they're more playing in the middle space, right?
Yeah.
And they're a more like stronger control army. Yeah, and people saying in the comments the woods are 100% the reason why we don't like them. Steve
Yep.
Herner saying major headache on the Holy Havoc tables. Yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
you're playing with
It's
the
not fun.
appropriate amount of large terrain, which you should be, because it makes your games good and makes it so shooting isn't actually a problem, and makes your games interesting, then the answer is Sylvaneth are bad. Because you have nowhere to set up woods in anywhere valuable.
Yep.
So there you go. Please, GW, hear me. Okay? Fix this nonsense. It's May. If my timing is right here, we have a few months until a Sylvaneth book gets locked. So please fix this. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Maggotkin, I don't know that we need to do much with them.
Just
Honestly,
consolidate.
They're a pretty solid army.
Consolidate all the rules.
Yeah.
Put them all in one book. Bring everything together. Get rid of battalions. Integrate that stuff into. And I'm assuming with all of this, like with the key battalions right now, those rules all roll into the core things.
Yeah. Yes, like roll all of the rules together, slightly adjust the points appropriately, and good. Chaos Spawn said, "Are we in agreement that the gaming board is going to be reduced to the 40K size?" Yes, 1,000%. Like I don't know that for sure, but I know that for sure. Yep. I would bet a paycheck on it. I'll tell you that much. Okay. So there you go. And then cities. I just want to see them explore new cities. Give me 6, 7 new cities, other places in the realms. Give me the Gyran, Gur, and what other realm do you want, Tom? What's our maybe those are the two, because we only got I guess we got Gyran and Akshi before, right? So maybe another Gyran city, Gur, and Shimon. There you go. That's what I'd want to see. That would be cool.
If we had Malarians stuff, I could see Olgu. Otherwise, I think dwarves will be based in Shimon.
Fair enough. So how about match the city to the dwarf or Malarian release?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like I think there's more in Gyran you could do. Like I understand we have some Gyran cities, but there's more cities they haven't done yet.
Yep.
So, like on the map, there are more cities. I think it'd be a cool place to keep exploring if it's going to be like where the major action is happening at that moment. So. That's all. Yeah, I think Shimon would be awesome. I would love to see some Shimon cities. I just think that'd be so cool. Shimon has like always been the coolest realm to me. So
the shining city, if you will.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I do wish some people have mentioned Shaiish. I would love to see like a neat take on a Shaiish city. Now that Nagash is busy licking his wounds and reconstituting himself for 1,000 years. Maybe
since we got Ulfenkarn, right?
Yeah, sure, exactly, sure. Yeah,
that's a city.
I could see that.
Well, no, that's in the one book, right? Ulfenkarn.
No, we don't have city rules yet. No. Like the people in Cursed City, the heroes, are from Ulfenkarn, but there's no Ulfenkarn rules at this point.
I could swear we had Ulfenkarn rules.
No, I wish we would, Tom, but we don't. And yes, that would be a great Shaiish city. So maybe just scatter them around. Maybe instead of like last time we had them all together, maybe we do a smattering.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
That'd be cool. So yeah, I mean, to me, I would love to see this kind of that continued exploration. And again, Cities is one of those books. To me, when I look at something like Nurgle or Cities, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
these are books that are just sort of right in the sweet spot of kind of power level of where I'd want them to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
like where the game should be operating.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem
That
isn't that these
the nice
books need to
sweet
come
spot.
up. They don't. They don't.
Yeah.
We can't stop saying every time a book comes out, they're like, oh well, it's not as good as Seraphon, this kind of stuff. Yeah, you're right, and that's a problem. Like we're going to talk about that a
Right.
lot next week. What we need to do is like seriously take a baseball bat to the kneecaps of like Seraphon and IDK and Disciples of Zinj. Hard.
I I agree.
Yeah, like we just and like Doc by the way too. Like I just line them up and I'll just
Sure.
walk down the line, just right. Just they need to come down a serious peg.
You're leaving KO, right?
Uh, KO probably just needs some small points adjustments into a couple units. Really, I think that's all it
You
is. And
you
fix
shut
spell
your
learning.
mouth. You shut your mouth. Did you see that? Did you see KO's pairings against other like high tier armies? Like when you get up there, they have like a 30% win
Yeah,
rate.
yeah, I understand, of course. Like
Yeah.
again, the that's why I said very
Like,
minor with KO. Like really, I
yeah.
mean light touch. And honestly, my biggest thing I'd want to fix is like spell in a bottle needs to go. It's toxic and stupid.
I don't know what you're talking about. I
Sure.
have a model built for that.
Mm-hmm. It's toxic
Or
and
two.
stupid. So like if we just bring the power level of that stuff
Yeah.
down, honestly,
Yep.
we'd be in an amazing place in the game right now, right? Because we have these like 4 or 5 armies that are just kind of bad performers.
Right.
They're out of whack. Like LRL's probably in that mix. Baseball bat to them as well. Take that. But I just don't think there's like the art without giving them a new book, which none of those deserve. We have to do it through a combination of FAQs and points adjustments. So like yeah, we've got to overcost some of these things. That's just the world. So there you go. Okay, how do you, Tom? If this were to be the year, this scene we've constructed here, right? If this is the first year of AOS 3,
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
feeling?
It's interesting.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, it's non-standard.
Mm-hmm. We'd have in this cycle, right? We would end up having like the real challenge is we would end up having like 5 order books in this year.
Yep.
1 death book, right?
Yep. But Death just had its entire line updated.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. We'd have 3 chaos books, right?
Yep.
And then 2 destruction.
Yeah.
But maybe that's
I,
right because we're leaving behind the age of death. We're going into life.
Yep. In chaos.
Yeah.
Or in destruction. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels right.
Yeah. So to me, this would feel like a pretty good year. It would feel like we hit all the notes we needed to hit. When I look at what's left over on the right side, as I said,
Yeah.
I think the only one that stands out in my mind is Skaven. So
Yeah. All that looks fine. Yeah.
and I think we'd
And
have a chance to do some fun stuff here.
I
So,
can imagine,
let's
by
see
the
what
way, like as an aside, I could imagine that some of these queues have a 4th book.
Sure. Like that we yeah.
And
Yep, I agree.
because
There's some
the
open
reality,
slots we haven't filled here yet where they could end up doing like here's 2 books and here's 2 books, right? Yeah.
you should expect, I would expect at least 1 AOS book a month on average.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On average. And so what that means is that we're right now we're right at that, potentially, or a little under it. So I could see that potentially being a possibility of, like, for example, in Q1, you have a January and February releases here. You don't have a March release.
Yeah, sure. Which
So
maybe not, right? So
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I could potentially see another release.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Scott Pickett. No, I don't think we do. I think Death would be like if you fix Night Haunt, Death would be in a pretty good place. Like The
Yeah.
death books all feel pretty fine. Like OBR, yep, fine. Soul Blight,
Yep.
spoilers for next week, it's pretty fine. Flesh Eater Courts, pretty fine. Like, yep, all these are good. I don't want to make books for no reason. I mean, they will
Right.
because they have to sell, they have to make money. That's the point. But I wouldn't. I'm not excited for that. There's one kind of floating rumor we didn't touch, which is the rumored, in addition to this Malarian rumor floating around.
Yeah. Yep.
There's also a rumor of a couple new kits and something coming for War Clans, though we don't know the delivery method for that.
Interesting.
Doesn't
Well, it wouldn't
necessarily
surprise
mean a new book.
Right. It wouldn't surprise me, is what I would say. Because I think we are going to be heavy in the destruction armies. That's
Okay.
my vote, at least.
Yeah. I see CW Craner doesn't agree with me on Soul Blight being fine. I think it is fine. I think it's actually good even. But we'll get into that next week. So that'll be a fun show. I know there's some differences of opinions out there, but yeah, I think it's gonna be that one's gonna be a fun one to discuss. All right. What do you think? What did we miss? What books do you want to see? Drop them down in the comments. We'll be back next week with our replacement host, with Tom on his sabbatical. Tom, thank you for all of your time in the service here. We expect you to come back as soon as AoS 3 drops. Whenever that happens, and as more of that stuff comes out, of course we're going to be doing a big, giant, massive mega show for AoS 3, of course, right? And that's going to be really exciting. We're on the precipice here of some really exciting times. I am stoked for AoS 3. I'm stoked for where we are right now. And I can't wait.
It's exciting.
I can't wait to see where we end up going in the next couple months / year. So for all of you out there watching, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button. It's so easy. Just slide your mouse right over there, or if you're watching it on some kind of device, maybe just tap your finger even. Look how easy that is. Hit that button. We really appreciate it. It helps other people find the show. Subscribe, obviously, if you haven't already. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, hey, do that. Come back next week and for all the weeks to come. We will, as always, see you next Wednesday.
Bye, friends.